Thurman is here. Make sure you guys check out that unboxing talk. Don't miss it. Great show. Always talking nothing but the best of boxing.
What's up, y'all? It's your boy, Jay Calderon, Stand Clean Entertainment, and we're about to get into this week's boxing talk. It's official. The announcement has been made. The press conference has kicked off, and Manny Pacquiao, 8th Division World Champion, future Hall of Famer, will be taking on WBA Welterweight Champion Keith one-time Thurman on July 20th at the MGM Grand in Las Vegas, Nevada. This is a great matchup, one of the biggest fights of the year, and I can't wait for this fight. It's going to be on Fox pay-per-view, and it's a very big showdown. People have been talking about Keith Thurman being inactive for so long, over 2 years. He's been injured. He's been out of the ring for other reasons as well, but he's back now, and he's one of the best welterweights at 147 pounds. He's young, he's undefeated, he hits hard, he's a very good boxer, puncher, and he is the champion, the #1 welterweight in my book in the division. You know, he was the #1 guy because he beat Danny Garcia and he beat Sean Porter, 2 top welterweights in the division. He unified the division with the WBC title and the WBA title, gave up the WBC title because of the inactivity on his own. He wasn't stripped of the title. He gave that title up so that Sean Porter and Danny Garcia had the right to fight for that vacant title. But nevertheless, Keith Thurman is still an undefeated world champion. He's still the top guy. People have claimed that Errol Spence is the #1 welterweight in the world. Yes, he's the hottest one right now at 147 pounds. And he is a threat to all of these fighters in 147-pound welterweight division. But Errol Spence, even though he's building up a nice resume, he still doesn't have the resume of Keith Thurman. He still is not a unified champion the way Keith Thurman is. And Thurman has not been defeated. Thurman had his last fight against Josecito Lopez. People feel that it wasn't a great fight. He did look like he had ring rust because of the 2 years that he was off, but it was understandable. This man was working out the kinks. He was able to get the victory. I thought he looked pretty well, except for that 7th round where he got hurt very badly, and also the 8th round where he didn't look good. But he closed out the show. He got the victory win, and now he's in a big fight opportunity. He's the one that landed the Manny Pacquiao sweepstakes, not Errol Spence, not Danny Garcia, not a lot of other people that they thought was going to get the Manny Pacquiao sweepstakes. And it was Al Heyman and PBC that awarded Keith Thurman this big fight opportunity. Now he's going to be on the pay-per-view stage for the first time, and you got to believe that his numbers are going to be more than 400,000 plus pay-per-view buys for this fight, of course, because of Manny Pacquiao's star power. But people have made a big deal about Errol Spence's numbers with Mikey Garcia and trashing someone like Terrence Bud Crawford, who didn't do so well on pay-per-view with Amir Khan. You know, he did about 179,000 pay-per-view buys, while Errol Spence did close to 400,000 buys with Mikey Garcia. And a lot of that had to do, at least half of it had to do with Mikey Garcia because of his Mexican fan base, them fighting in Texas, where Errol Spence is from, but also where a lot of Mexican fans live and travel to Texas to see Mikey Garcia. And then also the star power that pulled in those pay-per-view numbers. Half of those numbers were given to Mikey Garcia's fan base. The other half, you have to give credit to the hometown guy, which is Errol Spence, and also the growing star power that Errol Spence is starting to emerge as one of the best fighters in boxing today, pound for pound on that list. And he got that decision victory in that fight, and now he moves on to a title unification against Sean Porter, which now has been pushed back from August to perhaps late September so that they could try to make it into a pay-per-view fight, because guys like Mikey Garcia and Danny Garcia are looking to make a fight perhaps sometime in August and have it on a pay-per-view stage in Los Angeles in Mikey Garcia's backyard. So, you know, this right here is causing some type of conflict within the camps of Sean Porter and Errol Spence and perhaps PBC, because they want it to be pay-per-view, of course, for the money that's on the table, but the significance of a title unification that both of these guys bring to the table. And it's a great matchup that I believe is bigger than Mikey Garcia versus Danny Garcia. And then you have Errol Spence talking a lot of trash against the #1 pound for pound best fighter in the world in many boxing experts' lists as Terrence Bud Crawford. You know, this guy is not worthy of 50% of the money split that Errol Spence believes he should get the lion's share. Both of these guys are undefeated. This is the super mega fight that we want to see in the welterweight division. It trumps all other fights, including the Manny Pacquiao versus Keith Thurman fight. This is the mega fight that we want to see. Errol Spence versus Terrence Crawford. It should be 50-50. It's definitely pay-per-view worthy, and it's a great matchup that hopefully they could work out. Sometime in the future, this fight could possibly happen going into 2020. But as of right now, one of the biggest fights of the year is the Manny Pacquiao versus Keith Thurman fight. Sure to do over 400,000 pay-per-view buys, like I said before. So does that make Keith Thurman A-side if he ever gets to fight Errol Spence? And that fight will definitely happen before Errol Spence ever steps into the ring to face somebody like Bud Crawford. That's definitely reality because these guys are aligned in the PBC stable with Al Heyman as their advisor, and this is the road that they're going to take. They're going to make sure that they utilize all their fighters, guys like Danny Garcia, Sean Porter, Mikey Garcia, Keith Thurman, all these guys, including Manny Pacquiao, who is the money man of the division, the biggest star of the whole entire 147-pound weight division, because he is a boxing icon. They're going to utilize him as much as possible for many big paydays so they could be able to milk it as much as possible and make these big fight opportunities. So I say, if Keith Thurman wins this fight, he is still the #1 welterweight in the world. He's a guy that was already unified champion. He's a guy that remains undefeated, and he beats a guy like Manny Pacquiao, who's going to draw in those big pay-per-view numbers and give him that platform that he's been waiting for such a long time, and give him higher pay-per-view numbers than anyone else in the PBC stable. Does that make him A-side when it comes to the negotiation table against Errol Spence? That's where we have to look at. You know, if it works for one guy, it has to work for the other guy. That's just the way it goes. But right now, the A-side, the #1 guy is Manny Pacquiao at the age of 40 years old. Can he produce a good enough performance to beat a guy like Keith Thurman? Some people feel that Keith Thurman is on the downhill, that this guy is not what he once was after the injury, and they feel that he is going to get knocked out, stopped, or beaten by Manny Pacquiao. I'm a big Manny Pacquiao fan. I love Manny Pacquiao. He's a great fighter, one of the all-time greatest fighters of this generation for sure, a legend in the sport of boxing, an icon. But at the age of 40 years old, I do not feel that Manny Pacquiao is not going to be able to beat a younger, bigger, stronger man in Keith Thurman. He's done it in the past. He's proven himself time and time again against bigger fighters. And this guy is a special type of fighter in Manny Pacquiao. But Manny Pacquiao doesn't look the same that he did years ago. You know, Manny Pacquiao that beat Lucas Matisse did look like that guy. And he looked spectacular. In a very long time, he hasn't knocked anyone out since Miguel Cotto. And that was back in 2009. That's a very long time. But a lot of that had to do with the decline on Lucas Matisse. Matisse was just a washed up fighter, and he didn't look good in his previous fights, and he looked horrible against Manny Pacquiao. And Manny Pacquiao was able to take advantage of that situation and look spectacular in stopping his man. Then he fought against Adrian Broner. Against Broner, Broner did what he always does. He doesn't throw enough punches, he doesn't be aggressive enough, and he lost the way he lost against Mikey Garcia and his other opponents that he has lost to before. The volume punching of Manny Pacquiao was the key factor in this fight. The way he was able to utilize his foot movement and be able to outbox Adrian Broner for 12 rounds led the way to victory, and he even hurt Adrian Broner in that fight. But Broner has been hurt before against big punches, but he was able to survive and not get knocked out. But there was moments and glimpses of the way Floyd Mayweather was able to land that right hand against Manny Pacquiao in their fight, that I saw it in the Adrian Broner fight, where Broner was able to land a clean right hand several times throughout the fight, but he wasn't effective enough to be able to follow through and try to capitalize on that. And that's Adrian Broner's problem. AB just not able to be consistent in his fight, and that's why he lost against Manny Pacquiao. But that Pacquiao that fought against AB, against the guy that fought against Josecito Lopez, is definitely going to beat Keith Thurman. And that's what people are banking on. People are looking at that fight against Josecito Lopez and the fight against Broner with Pacquiao, that they feel that Pacquiao will beat Keith Thurman. And I have to agree with that right there. But I believe that you're going to see a much better Keith Thurman than that you saw against Josecito Lopez. If we see Keith Thurman that fought Danny Garcia or even fought Sean Porter, that version of Keith Thurman, the better version of Keith Thurman, will that version beat the version of Manny Pacquiao that fought Adrian Broner? I believe so. I believe that Keith Thurman has the height, the reach, the size advantage, plus the boxing skills to utilize his jab, go to the body very well, and has enough punching power to keep Manny Pacquiao honest. The Pacquiao that fought Jeff Horn, who was a very big fighter and showed that physical strength and aggressive fighter against Manny Pacquiao, gave Pacquiao problems. And that's what I'm looking at. I'm looking at the size factor of Keith Thurman and also the fact that he's able to box and punch better than what Jeff Horn was able to do. I feel that the Jeff Horn fight is the best measurement to see how Keith Thurman is going to approach this fight against Manny Pacquiao. Styles make fights, and Keith Thurman has a different style from Jeff Horn, but he's also as big as Jeff Horn, and he's going to bring that pressure to Manny Pacquiao, who is the smaller fighter, who is the older fighter, and has not been the same fighter that he was 5 years ago. So I see this fight playing out as a very good competitive fight because Manny Pacquiao is a tough fight for anybody in the welterweight division, including Errol Spence. He will give a difficult time to Keith Thurman throughout this fight. He will be able to land easily on Keith Thurman with his hand speed and with his southpaw style that he's able to work his way inside with his footwork and land a volume of punches on Keith Thurman. But I believe Thurman, with his tremendous heart, with his good solid jab and his boxing skills to be able to move on his feet as well and cut off the ring on Manny Pacquiao, I believe that his size advantage will play a factor into this fight, and his youth and stamina being in better condition will really pave the way down the stretch to a very good, awesome fight. I believe this fight is going to be a great fight, a competitive fight where you're going to see Keith Thurman land against Manny Pacquiao, perhaps stun Manny Pacquiao throughout this fight, and be able to win a close 12-round decision victory. I look towards Keith Thurman claiming victory after 12 rounds and keeping his WBA welterweight title and remaining undefeated against Manny Pacquiao. That's just my opinion. I wish both men luck because I like both guys a lot. I'm 50-50 on the fence with this fight, but I lean towards Keith Thurman with his size and also his youth on his side against the experience factor of Manny Pacquiao. That's just the way I see it. The best version of Manny Pacquiao would definitely beat the best version of Keith Thurman. In my opinion, that's how I feel. Manny Pacquiao is a great fighter, and he would definitely beat a guy like Keith Thurman. But at this moment in time, at this stage, at this level right now, I just feel that Keith Thurman has been waiting a long time for this big opportunity, that he's going to be in the greatest shape that he's ever been, and that he's going to show out in this fight, and he's going to put it all together. And it's not going to be an easy fight for him, but at the end of the day, I believe his hand will be raised after 12 rounds. No one is going to get knocked out. Perhaps no one will even hit the canvas the way Broner and Manny Pacquiao didn't hit the canvas. So I see this fight going 12 full rounds of a competitive fight, and Keith one-time Thurman being victorious at the end of the fight. And then we'll see what will happen to both careers, because Keith Thurman says he's not going to fight until 2020, and that means the Errol Spence fight is off the table, and we won't even get to see Terrence Crawford perhaps until late 2020, because we're going to see Keith Thurman take on Errol Spence in the earlier part or perhaps the summer of that year. And I can't wait for that mega matchup, because that's a great fight right there. But that's my final analysis on this fight. We'll be following them closely throughout training camp to see how these guys look. And by the time they step into the ring, I'll have another fight analysis for you, or what I feel has changed or has stayed the same leading up into the fight. But I'd like to thank everyone for tuning in to this YouTube channel right here, Jay Calderon Boxing Talk. Please hit that little red subscribe button, hit that bell icon so you get all my notifications once I drop a new video. Follow me on Instagram, follow me on Twitter and all social media platforms. Join the Facebook boxing group page, all under the same name, Jay Calderon Boxing Talk. I'm Jay Calderon, Stand Clear Entertainment. Thanks for your support. Keep watching and please subscribe.